I have been watching a good deal of what folks call breakfast lately, and I want to talk about one particular thing because it tells you everything about where we have drifted. It is this business of the microwave scramble. You have seen it. You crack an egg into a mug, you splash in a little milk, you give it a stir with a fork, and you shove the whole mug into the microwave for exactly 45 seconds. And out comes something that is called a scrambled egg, though I do not know that I would call it that myself. Rubbery in the middle, dry at the edges, and tasting of the inside of a microwave more than it tastes of egg. And the great selling point, the thing folks are excited about, is that it takes less time than boiling a kettle. Now I'm going to be plain with you. I have tried it once, and I will not be trying it again. And I would ask you kindly to think twice about it yourself, because an egg deserves better than 45 seconds in a box that heats things from the inside out. An egg is a small, perfect thing, and it has been treated well by cooks for longer than any of us have been alive, and it does not need a mug and a beep to tell it when it is done. The trouble with the mug and the microwave, same as the trouble with the bag in the boiling pot I showed you before, is that it asks you to trade something slow and good for something fast and hollow. And once you get used to fast and hollow, you start to forget that slow and good was ever an option at all. So today, I am not going to show you a better scrambled egg, and I am not going to show you a better omelette either, fine as those are in their place. I'm going to show you something older than both of them. A dish my grandmother's mother made, and one that has all but disappeared from most kitchens now, though there was a time it sat on tables more often than either scrambled eggs or an omelette ever did. Some call it a shirred egg. In our house it was just called a baked egg, or a cream egg, and it was the thing you made when you wanted breakfast to feel like something more than a hurry. Before I show you how it is done, I want to say one quick thing, same as always. The full run of these old recipes, more of them than I could ever fit into any one video, I have gathered into a book over at eliasyodar.com. If you want the whole of it in one place, it is there waiting for you. I will not mention it again. Now, what is a baked egg, and why is it near vanished from the table? The idea of it is simple, and that is exactly why it is good. Instead of scrambling the egg and breaking it apart or folding it around a filling in a hot pan, you crack the egg whole into a little dish, you pool it in cream and butter, you scatter over it whatever good things you like, and you let the oven's gentle, even heat finish it slow. No stirring, no flipping, no fussing over a hot skillet at all. The oven does the patient work while you set the table or pour the coffee, and what comes out is nothing like a scrambled egg and nothing like an omelette either. The white sets soft and tender all the way through. The yolk stays warm and just barely set, so it runs a little golden when you break it with your fork, and all around it sits a little pool of cream and butter that has gone rich and slightly nutty from the oven's heat. It is closer to a custard than to a scramble, and that is exactly the point. It is a different creature of egg altogether, and once you have had it made properly, you understand why folks used to reach for it before either of the other two. It fell out of favor for a reason that has nothing to do with taste and everything to do with speed. A scramble takes 2 minutes in a hot pan. An omelette, once you have the knack of it, takes maybe 4. A proper baked egg wants the better part of 10 to 12 minutes in the oven, and in a world that has decided 10 minutes is too long to wait for breakfast, that was enough to push it clean off most tables. But I would put it to you plain. 10 minutes of doing nothing but pouring coffee and setting out the butter is not a hardship. It is a small gift of time, and what you get back for it is a breakfast that feels like it was made for you rather than made in a hurry past you. There is a little dish, a small shallow one, that this recipe wants, the kind your grandmother likely called a ramekin, though she may never have used that word. If you do not have one, do not fret. Any small oven-safe bowl or a well-buttered muffin tin cup will do the same work. That is the whole of the special equipment this recipe asks of you, and it is not a gimmick bought off a shelf. It is a dish you likely have already, tucked in a cabinet, waiting to be useful again. Now let me show you step by step how the old baked egg is done properly, the fillings that go with it best, and the little points where most folks who try it once go wrong and never try it again. There is a knack to it, same as there was to the omelette, and once you see it, you will wonder why you ever reached for a mug and a microwave at all. Let us begin the way I always begin, with getting everything ready before the oven ever comes into it, because a baked egg, same as an omelette, does not wait around for you once it is underway. First, the oven. Set it warming to 350 degrees, a moderate heat, and let it come fully up before your dishes ever go in. That matters more here than you might think, and I will tell you why in a moment. While it warms, we ready our little dishes. Take your ramekins, or your small oven-safe bowls, and butter the inside of each one well, right up the sides, not just the bottom. That butter is not only there for flavor, though it gives plenty of that. It is there so the egg never once thinks of sticking, and so that when you finally turn one out onto a plate, if you choose to turn it out at all, it slides free, clean, and whole. Now the cream. Into the bottom of each buttered dish goes a small splash of heavy cream, no more than a tablespoon or two. Some of the old recipes call for a bit of good butter melted right into the dish instead, and either way is honest and correct. The cream is what turns this from a plain baked egg into what my family always called a shirred egg, soft and rich, with a little sauce forming right there in the dish as it cooks. Do not be shy with it, but do not drown the egg either. A shallow pool is what you want, not a swimming pool. Next come the fillings, and here is where you may put your own hand to the dish, same as with any good omelette. A little grated cheese scattered in first, a sharp cheddar or a soft Swiss, whichever you keep in your icebox. A few slivers of good ham or crumbled bacon that has been cooked through already, since raw meat has no place going into so short a bake. A little chopped chive or green onion, fresh, scattered light over the top for color and a touch of bite. If you favor a bit more green to your breakfast, a small handful of baby spinach wilted first in a warm pan counts as a fine addition too, though same as the tomato I warned you of before. Squeeze any wet vegetable dry before it goes in, or you will water down your cream and end up with a puddle instead of a proper sauce. Now here is the one true secret of a baked egg, the thing that separates a cook who has done this 100 times from a body trying it new, and it has everything to do with that word gentle I have used with you before. You do not crack the egg in violently or let it drop from any great height into the dish. You crack it first into a small cup or a saucer, just the one egg, and you look it over close to be sure the shell has not gone anywhere it should not, and the yolk sits whole and unbroken. Only then do you slide it gentle from the cup into the waiting dish, right on top of your cream and your scattered fillings. Sliding it this way, rather than cracking direct into the dish, is what keeps the yolk whole and centered, sitting up proud in the middle rather than sinking to one side or breaking before it ever sees the oven. A little salt and a good grind of pepper over the top, but go easy on the salt just here since your ham and your cheese are already carrying plenty of salt of their own, and a heavy hand now will leave the whole dish tasting more of the shaker than of the egg. A small pat of butter set right on top of the yolk finishes it, and that little pat will melt down slow through the baking and baste the yolk gentle the whole while, which is a kindness no microwave has ever managed to offer an egg. Now into the oven they go, set on a tray so they are easy to carry in and out safe, and this is where that moderate, patient heat I asked you to bring the oven to earlier proves its worth. Too hot an oven, and the white on the outside will turn tough and rubbery long before the yolk in the middle has had its chance to set soft, same trouble as a skillet run too hot for an omelette. A moderate oven lets the whole egg come along together, gentle and even, white and yolk both arriving at just the right moment rather than one racing ahead of the other. 12 minutes is the rule of thumb for a soft, barely set yolk that runs warm and golden when you break it, the kind most folks favor best. If you like your yolk set through firm, give it 3 or 4 minutes more, though I will always argue for the soft yolk myself, since that little run of gold mixing into the cream beneath is half the pleasure of the whole dish. You will know it is near ready when the white has gone from clear and loose to solid and just barely jiggling in the center like a custard that is almost but not quite finished setting. Pull it from the oven a touch before you think it is fully done, since it will go on cooking a moment more from its own heat even after it leaves the oven, same as any good custard or any roast left to rest. Let it sit no more than a minute once it is out, just long enough that you will not scald your tongue on that first bite, and then serve it right there in its own little dish, warm, with a spoon and perhaps a bit of good toast alongside for dragging through that cream and yolk once the egg itself is gone. That, plain and simple, is a baked egg done the old way, and I promise you, once you have had one made properly, a mug in a microwave will never again look like breakfast to you. Now, same as I told you with the omelette, the folks who favor speed over all else will tell you that a baked egg has one weakness, and it is a fair one, so I will not pretend otherwise. It is a dish made one at a time, in one little ramekin at a time, and if you have a whole table to feed, that can feel like a slow business next to a mug that goes round the microwave one after another. But the old kitchens knew this trouble long before any of us, and they had a fine answer for it, same as they did for the omelette. If you are feeding more than 2 or 3, you simply set out as many buttered ramekins as you have mouths to feed, and you fill everyone at the same time before any of them ever see the oven. Line them all on a single tray, slide the whole tray in together, and the oven does the same patient work for 6 eggs as it does for 1, since it costs the oven nothing extra to warm 6 little dishes over one. You pour the coffee, you set the table, you butter the toast, and by the time you are done with all of that, 6 breakfasts are ready together, each in its own dish, each with its own little pool of cream, and nobody at your table waiting on anybody else. That is the old farmhouse answer to a full table, and it needs no mug, no beeping box, only a tray and a little patience, which was always the cheaper price to pay. Now, I want to be plain with you again about who profits from you believing that egg needs a mug in 45 seconds to become breakfast, because there is always something for sale, and there is always a story wrapped around it that says the old way is too slow, too much bother, too much to ask of a person in the morning rush. And folks bought into that story a little at a time, the same slow drift I've spoken of before, until a good many of them came to believe that a proper breakfast, one that takes a bit of cream and a bit of patience, was somehow beyond them, or beneath the trouble of a Tuesday morning. Nobody sat down and schemed to take the baked egg off your table. It simply got crowded out, one shortcut at a time, until the shortcuts were all that was left and the old dish sat forgotten in a book nobody opened anymore. But I will tell you, an egg does not care one bit for your rush. It never has and it never will. It answers only to gentle heat and a little patience, same as it always has, whether that is in a skillet making an omelet or in a small buttered dish in a warming oven making a baked egg. Give it that patience, and it will give you back a breakfast worth sitting down for, not one you eat standing at the counter waiting for a beep. So tell me something down in the comments, same as always. Did your own family make a baked egg, a shirred egg, whatever name it wore at your table, and has it disappeared from your mornings the way it near disappeared from mine? And if you have a filling you favor best in yours, ham or bacon, cheese or spinach, I would love to hear what your own people put in it, and whether anyone ever showed you the trick of sliding the egg gentle from the cup rather than cracking it straight into the dish. Next time I want to take you back to that skillet I showed you the omelette in, because there is an old cousin to the omelette I have not shown you yet, one that folds nothing at all and cooks low and slow until it sets up thick as a cake clear through, cut in wedges same as a pie, and eaten as easy cold from the icebox the next morning as it is hot from the pan the first night. Some call it a frittata, though my grandmother had an older, plainer word for it, and once you have made one, you will wonder why anyone ever thought an egg had to be folded around its filling at all, when it could just as easy hold the whole of it inside, top to bottom, in one thick and honest slice. Until then, take good care of the ones at your table and keep a kitchen that remembers your own two hands. A little cream and a bit of patience were always enough to make a breakfast worth sitting down for.